We'll give you the stick, you give it a lick, and it'll tickle you all the way down. Ice cream, we brought our goodies here to you. A tasty treat for while you screw.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff. And this week we're doing a movie that is very special. I would say super unique. It's a cult classic, so it really kind of flopped or was flopped perhaps at first, and then gained momentum over time. So though it came out in 1988, many people came to the fandom way later and they built it up into a craze. And that movie is Killer Klowns from Outer Space. If you haven't heard of it,
I don't know if I would consider this movie a flop.
I would say it's a raging success.
Yeah, it was. It is well regarded. Like, even when it came out, it was well regarded, but it was like sabotaged a little bit by the studio. So it did really, really poorly box office wise. But we'll get into that later, maybe.
It didn't even. It made it made $43 million off its like $1.8 million budget. Like when it opened.
I'm not sure that number is right, because the article that I saw said it made $80,000 on a $2 million budget, and then most of it was in video sales later when it came out on VHS.
I saw something that said it did pretty well, but who knows? It's on the internet.
It was well received. Critics liked it. But
why wouldn't they?
Yeah, the studio put it in like the absolute minimum amount of theaters that they had to contractually. And it kind of just like disappeared for a while after that until it was on VHS and people started stealing it from video stores because they liked it so much, and it was like playing on HBO and stuff like that, and gaining a following over time. But the Chiodo Brothers, the filmmakers really kind of said that they were done dirty by their studio, at least at first.
Yeah,
great art is always they always try to censor great art, and this is another example of that. It's just outrageous.
Yeah, this says it made like almost $16 million domestic when it came out and $28 million overseas.
Interesting. Well, I don't know where that is, but the SF Gate article that I read said the $80,000 number. So maybe
worldwide box office.
Are you sure that's not over time?
It says like box office, and box office is in theaters.
In theory, yeah, but is I'm not familiar with that website. All I know is that there was a quote from the filmmakers where they said, "They put us in the back of a multiplex at the Egyptian on Hollywood Boulevard in the summer peak season. It would have been a perfect Halloween movie. Instead, they buried it." So they were not pleased with whatever happened.
Summer clowns, that kind of makes sense to me. I like clowns feel summery to me. All that color,
And the making out at the makeout spot, that's classic summer vibes.
Why don't we do that anymore?
Make out at a makeout spot?
Yeah, why don't we have like makeout spots? I want to go parking, okay?
Was that ruined like by the Zodiac killer, or is that like modern day, you're not allowed to do anything anywhere anymore?
I don't know. When was the Zodiac killer?
The
70s? 60s? 70s?
John Wayne Gacy was the 70s, and I know that because the SF Gate article that I read for this talked about the history of scary clowns.
The Zodiac Killer was in the 60s, and this is set in the late 80s. Therefore, people were parking, and I want to bring parking back as a 32-year-old adult woman. I was
thinking that when I was watching this. I was like, why don't I make out on a raft in the back of a van?
I want to make out
a sedan.
I want to make out on a raft.
Still do that, but if you want to do it next to 5 other parked cars with your friends inside, it's a little harder.
Hey guys, I know what we're doing when I come back.
I'm down for a group makeout. Well, okay, that's not the same thing. I'm also down for a group makeout, but
we do that every time.
I'm down to make out near each other. You know, it's like the good old days in college where you'd be hooking up with someone in one bed and then your roommate's hooking up with someone in the other bed, and it's just like a beautiful shared thing. But this time, it's in public.
and
Love
everybody's
that.
in separate cars, but we have to keep all our windows down so we can like talk
So
to
you can
each
be
other.
shouting to each other, and the ice cream truck can come over and be like, "Do you guys want any ice cream?"
Smooch, smooch, smooch. And then you're like, wow, look at the stars. And then you say, Sydney, look at the stars. Sydney, look, there's a shooting star. And then you break away from your partner and you're like, wow, that's beautiful. Or if we do it in the daytime, then I'll be like, look, there's a cool bird. And then you'll be like, wow, that's a cool bird.
Government.
And then we go back to kissing.
It's the government spying on us. Okay, but here's my thing. One unrealistic thing about this movie. If an ice cream showed up while I was making out in the back of the thing, I would probably be a little hot, a little sweaty. I would absolutely want some ice cream to cool myself down.
Yeah, I'd get that ice cream.
I would totally get that ice cream.
I would immediately
that sounds great.
Like looking at the person, I'd be like, "Aren't you going to buy me some ice cream?" That would be romantic.
Yeah, I
want to live in a place with an ice cream
I want the
truck.
ice cream.
I want a makeout point, and I want ice cream trucks to visit me at said makeout point.
When I was a kid or in high school, I used to go to a makeout point type area, but I went to said makeout point with Alex, who was on the pod for our Chicago episode, and our three other friends, and none of us were dating, and none of us were into each other, and we just went up there to watch the sunrise. It was a platonic makeout spot experience, which is also lovely. And I bring that back too. Bring back going to the top of a mountain in the middle of the night and just chilling, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I have spent some time in my high school days at like overlooks in Los Angeles where you can see all the city lights. And
oh, yeah.
I did a little kissing, you know what I mean? But I was always nervous that like someone was going to come and give us a ticket or whatever, which I think is probably what chased away that cultural phenomenon.
Well, I
gotta forget about the law.
I say we riot with all the other riots that are happening in this country for like really important things. I say we also say, hey, this is a really culturally important thing that we need to riot and bring back.
Sure.
I agree. This is the next big riot that we need, I think.
Anyway,
gun reform and makeout points are our two big things.
We kind of jumped in a little bit before we did our IMDb log line, which we usually try and squeeze in a little earlier, but I kind of think the title spoke for itself anyway. Because the IMDb log line doesn't really expand beyond that. It just reads aliens who look like clowns come from outer space and terrorize a small town. So not much more information there other than now you get small town, which is, crucial.
I'm dying. I'm looking at IMDb too. I'm looking at the poster for this, which is a clown spinning the earth like a basketball on its finger. Which is iconic. Also, it's Killer Klowns with a K. The tagline for this movie is "It's crazy." In all
it is
caps,
crazy.
2 A's and 2 Z's. This movie, oh my god.
This is where the Kardashians got the changing everything to a K from. Like Kris Jenner was inspired and was like, this is it.
The original influencer was Killer Klowns from Outer Space, and then it influenced the influencers.
It's influenced me a great deal. It's changed a lot about me.
It made me want cotton candy real bad.
Ooh. Oh, I saw a video the other day of a raccoon and it got cotton candy and they wash their food before they eat it. And so he dumped it in the water and then it dissolved and he was really confused and sad. Sorry, I brought that up. This is a fun episode. It's a devastating video. He was so sad.
No.
And I was so sad. I want that raccoon to have cotton candy. I want us to have cotton candy, but I don't want us to be put into a cotton candy cocoon because that looks pretty bad. It sounds good at first, but it apparently dissolves your skin, and that's not very good.
I would like to be in a cotton candy cocoon if it didn't dissolve my skin and it was just actually cotton candy, and then I could like eat my way out of it, That's okay.
Yeah, but you can always take a shower. It's fine.
I don't know. I think
get dirty, then you always get clean
by
after.
those things because I did a whipped cream pie fundraiser. I hate that actually in hindsight. In
you
college.
did a cream pie fundraiser, Chelsea?
No, I didn't do that.
Sounds like it. Dear God.
Anyway, it was like, oh, it's just a whipped cream. What's the big deal? And then you wash it out. but actually when you get hot water on whipped cream in your hair, it smells really, really bad for a long time.
That makes sense because
So,
it's dairy.
Yeah.
It's like curdling. Ugh. Ooh,
it was really
ew.
horrible. It was really horrible.
Trey, nasty.
Don't recommend. Not sure what the solution is other than don't participate in the first place. But it was for charity. You guys don't want to give to charity? You don't believe in literacy? Wow.
I would love
None
to
of us
do a
said
cream
that.
pie
How dare
fundraiser for
you.
charity.
I would do
That's
that for
true.
sure. But back to this movie. I had said last episode I'd only seen half of it, and then I watched the movie, and I have seen this entire movie. I just was like, I think I fell asleep periodically through it when I watched it the first time, and then I also did this time. And that's not to say that the movie isn't great. It's just to say that I was tired. How about that? But I rewound. I think I only missed like 4 minutes. And if it's a crucial part, you'll have to fill me in. But from the get-go, I think this movie is so funny. Everybody is just a caricature of themselves. That opening with that like old man with that
And the
tarnation
dog.
and the dog. What's the dog's name? Pooh
Oh,
Bear.
Pooh Bear.
Pooh Bear. That why the first death has to be Pooh Bear? That's horrible. How dare
Well,
they?
maybe Pooh Bear didn't die. We didn't see any evidence of Pooh Bear in a cartoon, cocoon, whatever, or a balloon or anything like
There was that
Like,
one, Chelsea. I think there was actually.
was there a
It
little
could
one?
have been a child, but there was one little one.
Oh no.
There was one little one. I remember thinking, oh, it's a child, but it could have been Pooh Bear.
It is. There's like a site, I think, that's like, does the dog die in this movie? And the dog, unfortunately, does die in this movie.
They did, like, a little
Devastating.
smoothie.
Who gets
Aw.
dog napped for sure, but I refuse to believe anything further, and that's my personal choice.
The
These
problem
clowns
with this
were
movie,
like, my balloon dog needs a friend, and therefore
Yes!
they adopted Pooh Bear.
They didn't know about dogs before they met Pooh Bear, and then they said, you know what we should do? We should make a balloon animal just like this one to be our friend.
I love all of the weird lore they create in this, like all the weird powers that the killer clowns have. But at the very beginning of this movie, we talked about them making out, blah 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 blah. I definitely would also be like, let's traverse the forest and find the fallen star. And I feel bad to say that, but it's so true. It's so true. I don't know if I'd go inside of the spooky clown house.
You
I would
absolutely
go inside
would.
the spooky clown house. I said that to Adam last night too. I was like, I would not go inside. And then I was like, I would totally go inside. I've done shit like this a million times before. Not dead
Remember the
yet, knock on
mazes
wood.
in Griffith Park? Yeah, you went right
Well,
on
it was broad daylight and they were like open, you know. That was different. But also, like, have I come across a spooky cave and gone into it? Yeah, I have.
I mean,
And
what are you
that's
gonna
on
do?
me.
You know, you've got it.
What I
sometimes.
could do is not that, but here we are. I'm gonna be the Aries that dies first.
But yeah, I mean, I think Debbie had the right idea, which is let's go find the fallen star. It looks like it fell super nearby. And then actually that circus tent is giving me really bad vibes. I don't think we should get closer. Like she was making the right call at every opportunity, I think.
Definitely. And she had great hair. Incredible hair. Also, like, okay, what's his name? What is Debbie's first boyfriend's name? Mike.
Or do you mean Dave? Because that was the first boyfriend chronologically.
Okay,
but
well,
not
the first boyfriend that we see, Mike
Tobacco.
Tobacco.
Mike Tobacco is his last name.
Both of Debbie's boyfriends?
Yes.
Her
Canon.
two boyfriends who are boyfriends with each other.
Uh-huh. I love this movie.
I want two boyfriends, and I want my boyfriends to be boyfriends, and I want to be my boyfriend's girlfriends, and we're all little boyfriends.
If we don't make a TikTok with that sound, then
that's what this movie
will
is.
fail. Then we failed as a
Canon.
podcast if we don't make a TikTok with this movie. But Mike Tobacco, that actor, Grant Kramer, his portrayal of Mike Tobacco is so spectacular. He has sorry, Mike Tobacco, I love you. the weirdest fucking voice I've ever heard in my life. Like, if you look away and listen to it, you're like, what the fuck is going on? And he also just makes like these weird, like seemingly wrong for the moment faces all the time that I was dying laughing. He's a gem. He's a joy. I love him.
I love that this movie is so unserious. And besides the two ice cream brothers, all of the actors acted this so serious that it made the movie even better. And the two main male love interests, Dan and Mike, yes, I said Dan, didn't I? Damn it.
That's okay. Same name, basically.
So close. Dave and Mike, they perfectly overacted in this movie. It was perfect. I mean,
oh my god, it was hilarious.
Spectacularly perfect.
Part of the thing about the $2 million budget is that the I truly don't know if it's Chiodo or Coyote, but Coyote feels right to me, so that's what I'm going with. The Chiodo brothers spent most of that on production costs alone. Like, a lot of it was like travel and like getting the things that they needed to Watsonville outside of Santa Cruz where they filmed. So most of the like actors who play like named characters are people that they knew and they're friends. And then most of the extras and the clowns really were all like local people who they put out like a casting call for very tall people and very short people,
iconic,
to come play clowns. And they got a whole bunch of random people, including one like
started so many careers,
basketball player. Yeah, one of them was like the son of a filmmaker who wanted to get into acting. They just like attracted a very not non-traditional, because actually the son of a filmmaker who wants to be an actor is very Hollywood traditional. But they very much were just like crowdsourcing from the area and from their own personal lives rather
very
than
troll
the big studio thing. Yeah, just the local color is filling it out for sure.
Local color. Well, these guys have like a fucking beautiful vision. Their names are Charles, Edward, and Stephen Chiodo, or Stefan, who knows, or Coyote, whatever. Those are their names. But they've had like a cool like career. You know, it's not just this one-off thing. They also have done. They created Large Marge, the claymation for Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and they did the monster effects in Critters, which I've been dying to see. Another horror comedy. And they came up with this whole concept because they just had this like idea. And this is a quote from Steven. He said, I imagine myself driving up a lonely mountain road and somebody's passing me on the left. And when I turn to see who it is, it's a clown. That's fucking terrifying. And it's one of the best scenes in the whole movie. But I love it. He was like, hey, brothers, I have this spooky idea. And he said that, and then one of his brothers was like, but wait. What if the clown was an alien? And they're like, oh, shit. And then thus Killer Klowns from Outer Space was born. Iconic.
I love this movie. It's
stupid. It's the best.
But it's so stupid, but in the best possible way.
Yes.
And like, this was made in what, 88? 86, one of the 80s, one of the late 80s.
Late 80s.
So this is before like computers, CGI, like this is all fucking like practical effects and a little bit of like claymation effects.
Yes.
The shadow puppets. We have the puppets that are eventually going to kill Monica, kill people in this movie. A great through line.
Gorgeous.
Amazing.
And another fun, so we have that through line from Cloverfield. Another great weird through line is this is clearly a small town. And what do small towns actually have? 2 police officers. Just
there you
2.
Go.
And
she
I'm
was
just
telling
saying,
us all about that last week.
Last week, 2 police officers, and one is always young and hot and ready, and one is always old and crusty and so grumpy.
And that's fucking backwards. God, he just lives to make people have a bad time.
He's the real opener of the film too, just with his bad attitude as people are like walking the street and he's just like hassling everyone because he's a dick.
Okay. Imagine.
But
oh, sorry, you go.
Did y'all pick up what I think this movie was putting down about the two guys that they picked up, that they like arrested in the first place? Yeah. That
I don't
gay
know.
punks.
Yeah, that they were, walking around town drinking wine, probably on a little date.
Very romantic.
And they were like, well,
And their fingerless gloves.
Well, and why would they maybe not want to stay on college campus? Because they don't want to be around all the people that they know. So they go into town. Gay.
Interesting.
Gay.
I mean, I think they're for sure boyfriends no matter what. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that was clear. This is,
and
to me, a
died
queer
in
film.
each other's arms.
All of the clowns are gay. Not a single one of those clowns is a heterosexual clown.
Of course, honestly, it's back in the 80s when they were all about the queer villain, so of course.
But also, they don't even seem like gendered, really, to me, other than that one puppet show with Cosmo and Wanda. Other than that, they kind of all just seem to be of the same genre. We don't know how reproduction works for them, you know what I mean? Maybe just like everything they do is like queer and
comes out of the nose,
etc., etc.
Their reproduction is little popcorn.
That's true.
We do actually know how they reproduce.
I love that they have that popcorn gun. It's such a long con. They're like, I'm not gonna shoot them with the zap gun that turns them into a cocoon of cotton candy, not coconuts, which is what I was gonna say. But I'm gonna shoot my babies onto them.
I'm gonna splurt my babies all over you to attack.
Ew.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're like, they're gonna get away for sure. So I'm gonna like put my spawn on you, so you'll bring my babies to town, and they'll do some of the work for me. Are they born with guns? Do they have a gun in them? They have clothes. Maybe they have clothes. I don't know. They're just little heads on little wormies. Hard to say.
But it's interesting. The popcorn gun was actually the most expensive prop, I think, that they used. The SF Gate article that I read said most of their props were like really kind of thrown together. Like the guns, for the most part, were super soakers from Toys R Us. That they kind of just like dressed up a little bit. Most of the clowns' weapons cost like $10. Most of the set pieces they saved or they sourced and built from somewhere called Pick and Save. And
you don't remember Pick and Save?
No, I don't know what Pick and Save is.
Oh, I used to go to Pick and Save. I think Big Lots, Big Lots, it used to be Pick and Save.
Interesting. Anyway,
fact check me on that, but I think it's true. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, the popcorn gun was one of the only things they like actually made, because it had to be functioning and like really shoot popcorn. And so that cost $6,000, and that was the most expensive thing.
Well, it was beautiful, and it was used for about 4 seconds, and so it was worth it, I would say.
I agree.
Oh my
God.
But
yeah, I mean, all of the practical effects, everything they did was really, really cool. I was watching it and I was like, how did they like make these clowns? Like, clearly this is not just prosthetics, you know what I mean? Like, are these puppets? Like, what is the deal? And apparently they were animatronic heads that people would wear as part of the costume. And so it had like a motorized mouth and eyes that was like doing the face movements that you saw. And I don't know how they did all of it, if that like when their cheeks would move and stuff like that too. But it's just super cool, and they look so weird.
Yeah, they also had, it was like mechanically controlled cables that like pulled parts of the masks on the inside apparently. But yeah, they're fucking terrifying. I thought it was brilliant. I thought the costumes were so brilliant. I'm not super scared of clowns. But I get it. I get why people are scared of clowns. Totally. But like this, oh my God. I loved the monster design. I loved all of it. The whole lore, like the way that they like seamlessly used all the circus shit as part of it. Like we already talked about the balloon animal dog. Like that was hilarious.
I love it so much. It's such a funny little gag.
He becomes alive right away. Like I love that the spaceship is a giant circus tent, and that like the circus lights are like the, kind of like things that tie the ship down as well. I don't know, every little aspect of it, like cotton candy is what kills you.
And when they drink from the cocoon, they have like a silly straw they use.
Silly straw. They have the way they walk. They have those big fucking giant shoes, and they turn the goofiest walk you've ever seen into the scariest walk you've ever seen. Not that I was scared really when I was watching this, but like it is spooky how they like amble around. And there's so many good gags. I love that gag when the first clown comes to town and he sees that gorilla machine outside of the store, and so he just starts like doing the same motions as the gorilla machine and no one notices him there. They're resourceful. They're a smart species.
They are. Yeah, they do a lot of fun stuff. The cream pies that melt people, I thought was a really fun, interesting, terrifying one. It does seem like you need a lot of them to really effectively melt anybody, because some of the other characters like touched the pies or got like one pie and they were okay. But that guy was absolutely fucking covered in pies. So it melted him right down.
Fucking pelted. And in that scene too, an incredible use of the clown car. I mean, you knew they had to do it at some point.
You were waiting.
Rather large
for sure.
clown car. But yeah, their powers are unknowable. They have so many powers. Like,
what are their secrets?
Their head around. That one clown is like an owl, and he turns his head all the way around. Terrifying.
They've got like super strength. They punch that biker guy's head right off of his shoulders.
Oh my God. I love that part. I was so excited because Adam got a Vespa, and I was like, Adam, it's your Vespa. When the clown rolls up on that tiny little shitty bike. I love the Vespa, don't get me wrong, but it's like when you roll up on a Vespa to a motorcycle club, you're like, yeeks.
You expect to get, if you will, clowned a little bit.
Okay, but totally. We're absolutely going to need a picture of Adam on his Vespa so we can do a comparative side by side.
Oh my God. Okay, done. We'll get that done. But I was so mad that biker guy just came and destroyed his clown bike, because that was a cool clown bike. It was beautiful.
Just so unnecessary.
Imagine being so angry that you just see a guy and you're like, I'm gonna fuck your shit up. Like, people are like that. It's so crazy. He's just a clown clowning around. Come on.
He did honk the horn, though. I mean, the clown said he could honk the horn. He did eventually do it by smashing it all into the ground, but honk that horn.
Little beep beep.
But yeah, I mean, there were some points where they did little gags that seemed like it was just for fun and not a weapon. Like when I think it was the mean police officer who gets sprayed with the water from the flower and then nothing happened from the water. I was a little bit like, well, was that just to spray him? Like like a little bit. I was like, what's happening there? And then nothing happened. But you know, I also think if you didn't have a clown spraying someone with water from a flower, you'd be like, where's the clown? Where's the flower water gag? So
where's the fun? These clowns are no fun without the flower water gag.
That cop really did deserve to die, though, because like if everyone in the town is calling and they're all like, I'm dying, help me. But he just decided to not pick up the phone one more time because he thought that he was being pranked by like 150 people at once. Think about the organizational skills it would take to make that happen.
The persuasion of the Terenzi brothers, I guess. I mean, I don't know why he thought that would work, though. Like, they couldn't even get people to buy their ice cream at what seems like a prime ice cream opportunity, but they got the whole town in on their prank. Like, I don't think so, baby. Especially the town pharmacist is calling you. Like, that seems like a trustworthy guy.
Yeah,
they seem to have an established professional relationship, and he was just like, the Terenzi brothers got to him too.
He's so small-minded. He's like, it could never be clowns. Anyone can dress up as a clown and kill anyone at any time. Okay, so
do y'all remember
it could happen?
The creepy clowns of like what 2016?
I do. And did we ever find out what that was about?
No.
That okay.
Anyway,
fair then, I guess, to this shitty cop man. Because that was a mass organized clown hoax across the United States of America. So I guess it can happen.
Okay, but guys, for our social, should we all go buy scary clown costumes and just start standing around in different parts of town for content?
I follow a girl who's going to clown school, and so I would love to do clown makeup. And I have a shirt that has a funny collar.
You have
I
to
should have
register
worn
your
it
clown
for
makeup
this.
though. I feel like we've talked about that before.
I forgot about that. Well, this will just be just for now.
Just for now.
I'm not going
Just
to
for
become
fun.
a clown. I'm not going to become a professional clown. I want to make that clear.
You're not
Last
gonna paint
girl's
your
going to
clown
clown
makeup on a little
college.
egg and register it with the official clown makeup
No, because I
organization.
want to
don't know.
diversify my clown makeup portfolio. I want to do a bunch of different shit all the time. I can't just stick to one look.
You don't want to be married to one clown look
Exactly.
forever.
You can't hold me down, you
Can't be
know?
tied down.
Exactly, you get it. But yeah, the answer is yes. I will put on clown makeup for this podcast.
Beautiful.
I feel like the other cop though, who is really nice, I feel
Dave?
that I love him. Dave.
They did establish very early on, cops are the worst, but this is one of the good ones.
But not
by
Dave.
having
Dave is
Yeah,
sweet
not
and
Dave.
he
Not Dave.
fights for
Dave
the
is
rights
great.
of the punk
He says,
homosexuals.
"Don't beat up the gay punks. Leave them alone. Arrest
Leave
them if
them
you
alone."
must." But he's also like, "Why are you coming into our town? But now that you're here, we should respect your civil liberties," which is like a little bare minimum. But you know, when the alternative is, what's that other guy's name?
Sergeant
Something with
Shithead.
Mooney? Is
Kurt.
it Mooney?
Kurt Mooney.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, he's terrible. He is terrible.
He is terrible.
Was he the one who was like a legit
actor? Yeah.
Yeah. He was the dean from Animal House, which I know only because the guy who was the pro baseball player, I think, did the clown scene where he's using Kurt Mooney's body like a little ventriloquism dummy. And he was like, "I got the dean from Animal House to sit in my lap." So he was pretty excited about that. So
I also love that he had once did like stage acting with Daddy Christopher Plummer.
Oh, well, he's a star all around.
Star.
And he has that line, which is fun, where when Dave is believing the clown things, when Debbie and Mike come in, he's like, "Well, if you want to be made a dummy out of, that's fine, but no one's gonna make a dummy out of me." And then he gets turned into a literal dummy.
Oh, I love.
That's what he gets for being a
literal
hater.
shit like that. Yeah, haters get turned into a marionette. That's what happens.
Relatedly, can you imagine you are at the makeout spot with your new fella? You're making out in your inflatable raft in the back of the car. You see a falling star, you chase it, you find a very scary UFO that looks like a circus tent, and you're like, "I guess we have to go find my ex-boyfriend to tell him about this. I guess my ex-boyfriend is the only person we can go to for help." Like,
there are only two cops.
There's
so
two.
awkward.
There's only two cops, and the other one's a dick. So this was her
And she
only
probably
option.
knows that.
She's like, "Well, I guess we're gonna go talk to Dave." She put her face in his mouth.
Faded.
It was well placed. Yeah.
It was faded because this is the
Now they're all
most
together.
like official. This is the most obvious OT3 I've ever seen on screen.
Yeah.
Usually it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
reach. Like for Tremors, it's a
Mhm.
reach a little bit, you know, because I don't
Yeah,
see the
sure.
older guy flirting
to
with the
pitch you on
girly
it.
as much. Yeah, but this is like, I was like, I had fallen asleep, and then I woke back up, and I was watching them, and I was like, oh my god, it's the OT3. Oh, it's so clear. It's so clear. The boys just had to spend a little time together and
Mhm.
put their differences aside and realize that they were truly in love.
It very quickly, when it was just the two of them, became like the communism music, sickle and hammer, our girlfriend meme, if you're familiar with that one.
Oh, I have not seen that, but that sounds great.
Monica, yes, you do, because we sent it to you and Adam when we said our Adam, and we did that.
Oh, our boyfriend.
Well, I didn't know that meme, and so I had no idea what you guys were talking about, and I just nodded and smiled. I actually didn't reply to that text, and I got in trouble for it.
It was kind of rude.
We called you
but yeah.
out on it. We were like, "What do you mean, our Adam?"
They were very clearly like our girlfriend. Okay, let's work together. And then there were those points where they were just like grabbing and hugging each other, like separate from Debbie, even. Like they're very excited at that scene on
They are
the
in
clown
love.
pillar. Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
there's a lot of physical touch. It started when Dave was roughhousing with Mike and he was like putting him in cuffs just because he was angry. But then he was like, what the hate is so close to love, you know? It's a passion. It's a passionate feeling.
I love when Mike takes the cop car and tries to run over the clown, and he was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what to do. And Dave's like, it's okay. You're fine. Like, even though we could have died, it's not your fault. And I'm like, that is gentle partnering right there.
yeah, I mean, they really came together. They worked together. It was just
Honestly,
some really
they're couple
beautiful stuff
goals.
from them.
I know. It's what we all aspire to have. An OT3.
You know who else made an incredible two couples was the Terenzi brothers when they went into the circus tent UFO. And they met those two. Oh, those were clown girlies. Maybe they had the inflatable boobies.
Yeah, the inflatable boobies I loved. Also, I think that's when I fell asleep. What happens there? Do we see anything?
They seem like they're gonna get demolished by the clown girlies and their clown boobies for sure. Except then when they reappear later, their clothes are kind of torn and they're covered in big pink smoochies.
Okay, then I didn't fall asleep at that point. You just don't see them have clown coitus. Ooh.
Which is a bummer. The only thing this movie is
like
missing.
That phrase.
I would have loved to see how they wooed the clowns, you know what I mean? But they are clearly suave guys. They own an ice cream truck, so they're entrepreneurs. They're goofy, that's their thing. They love a prank. We know that. So I could see them really hitting it off with the clowns, actually.
Yes, actually a natural pairing.
Really comes together on its own. I think it's a really fun film. That said, the plot is super straightforward. You know what I mean? They're kind of just the clowns are going out and getting everybody. That said, I loved the montage when they were going like door to door, and just nabbing victims that way. Just like immediately shooting them with their cotton candy gun, but also sometimes being like a little entertaining for a minute, doing like a little gag for a minute. People are like, "Oh, pizza's
the
here."
Valentine.
And like, yeah, there were some pseudo porn setups in there a little bit.
The porn setup one. Oh my God. You're like, what are you doing here? And then they just immediately shoot her.
But yeah, I mean, my question, I guess, that I have also is like, what was the deal with Debbie and the balloon? Why were some people being put in balloons? Was it to eat them or for another purpose? Because one of the phone calls that Kurt Mooney gets at the station is some guy being like, they put my wife in a balloon and they took her away. So like, is it only ladies that are going in balloons?
Yeah.
Is that something popcorn egg babies? Like what's happening here?
Hate that. But yeah, I think
Maybe they just have a balloon kink. That's a thing.
I'm sure if you can say the words, it's a thing. If you can create the sentence, it exists.
It exists.
What was it like rule 40 something?
34, I think.
34. But yeah, I think that could be it. They put the lady. Well, no, they put the sexy porn lady in cotton candy.
Well, maybe she just looked delicious.
They really like Debbie, and they
do really like Debbie.
They like her a lot, and they're like, she's nice. We'll keep her around, and then
you know how many clowns they deployed to her house to get her? Like clearly they were trying to take her alive or whatever. You know what I mean? They put full manpower on Debbie.
She'd seen
yeah,
so
she'd
much.
been to their lair. She was tagged for destruction, perhaps, at that point.
Yeah.
The lair was so cool, though. They did so many fun things in there with, like, the funny little sounds on the buttons for the pseudo elevator sliding doors or whatever. And then one of them is just, like, a pit. And then, yeah, all of the like, zany halls. And then they have a, like, fire pole scene that goes into the gaping mouth of an additional monster.
Chelsea, I love when you say gaping.
Oh, stop
Oh
it.
my God. Wow. Sydney,
Stop saying
sexualizing
things
Chelsea.
to embarrass
First
me.
cream pie and now this.
I can't help it. It's right there.
Chelsea, I need you to say words that have no other connotation. Sydney cannot handle it.
I cannot
Well,
I'm dead. It's so
I have
funny.
to live my life.
handle it.
Chelsea's
So will
like,
I.
talk about something else.
Chelsea's gonna live her truth, but so am I. Okay.
I love that for you. I'm just here. But I really like the wall puppets too, the shadow puppets, excuse me.
Oh, those are so good.
And it's also like a little like teaser for what's to come because they do the funny like shadow puppet show. It gets everyone at the bus stop going wild. They love that shit, and I also would love that shit if I saw that too.
If
But
I saw a
love
clown doing shadow puppets of George Washington crossing the Delaware, followed by a belly
incredible.
dancer, I would also be losing my goddamn mind.
Yeah.
GD mind.
And if you can believe it, they only paid like $200 for that sequence because the guy who did it, the special effects guy who did it, was like their pal and was doing it basically for free because they had no more real money left to do anything. So he said he would do it for $200 and right of refusal, which I don't really know what that means, but I'm sure it's a Hollywood term. And then it's like one of the most famous parts of the movie.
It's so good. And then it turns it into a real monster guy, which I guess is like a real like T-Rex.
T-Rex.
Which sort of is like a shadow puppet version of Clownzilla that we get later. Another reference to Cloverfield, but
Oh
we're
my
not there yet.
God.
That's the end. That's the end. Before we get to that part, there's so many like fun homages to other horror movies in this, and I think it's hilarious that the cotton candy cocoons are all related to Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I didn't think about that at first, but like that was the pod people and thus and also
The
the
Blob.
makeout scene at the beginning is related to the Blob, which we need to do. I'm more
Yeah,
into
my mommy always
doing it
said.
now. I know your mommy is right, and I've heard many people recommend the Blob to me, even though just the name the Blob makes me think it's gonna suck. I don't know why. I'm being judgmental, and I'm gonna be. I want to learn, and I want to move past this judgment I have about the Blob. I'm ready to do it. Maybe this summer.
Maybe this summer. Who knows?
Maybe.
Is the Blob an alien?
I don't know. I haven't seen it. Ask your
right?
mom. Ask your mom. Why don't you ask your mom?
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, Chelsea, ask your mommy.
Leave my mom out of this. But yeah, I mean, it is just quite the film. It is really so fascinating and incredible. But what I love maybe most about it, is the Killer Klowns from Outer Space original song written for this
Thank
film.
you for bringing that up.
It is so good.
It's so good. The opening to this movie blew my fucking mind. It literally like is like a rock riff to like the din, 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 din. It's like it's so fucking sick. And like there's like a fucking guitar slide in the middle of it. Oh my God, an original song.
Well, it's Killer Klowns by the Dickies.
The Dickies.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing. And they didn't even get to see the movie before they made the song. Apparently, they just I mean, I assume they just went off the title, but that's really all you.
They were like, "That's enough for me. That's enough."
But yeah, John Massari is the guy who like did the music overall. And he said when he turned in, this is from IMDb. But he said that when he turned in the music master tapes to the studio, the people at the studio were going over it, and they said that they thought it would be, quote, a complete failure that will die a quick death.
Wrong.
And John Massari was basically just like, well, if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't. Like, fuck off. So he was right.
Absolutely fuck off. Oh my God. That makes me so mad. Why can't we just have fun? Green light more stupid shit, okay? I love to see dumb things that makes me happy. It makes me feel Just joy and nothing else. Ugh.
But yeah, apparently the song was originally written by John Massari for his high school rock band, which was called Crisis. Um, but that band didn't appreciate it for what it was. And so, I mean, I think that must be like the music. There's no way he wrote the lyrics
Yeah.
just for like.
Yeah.
But they said the notes of the song spelled out an F major seventh chord, which they thought was like too jazzy. Which is interesting because I think in the movie, if I'm remembering right, but I could be remembering completely wrong. After they play it, they have like the radio announcement that's basically like now to some smooth jazz. For their makeout spot. What do they call it? Top of the World, which is a great name for a makeout spot.
Let's go to the top of the world,
Top of the
baby.
world. You're at the
I'm
top
creating
of the
a top of the
world,
world.
Mike. Yeah, I mean, it is amazing. Clownzilla, again, we haven't quite gotten to Clownzilla yet, but Clownzilla's
We can
theme
go there.
music was apparently originally made for the movie trailer for Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. But then they did something else in that trailer, so they got to save it and reuse it for Clownzilla instead.
Wow. Incredible. Oh, the horror history within this film, it's unparalleled.
Mm-hmm. Another little beef, just while I'm looking at it in my IMDb trivia, is a little bit of a through line to last week. Because apparently the director of Jeepers Creepers, his first movie on which he committed his crime, is called Clown House. And these two movies were like rivals of each other because they were both low budget clown horror films. And everybody was being like, you copied me. No, you copied me. Except then they ended up being pretty different other than having clowns. But just given what we know, I'm inclined to say Clown House copied Killer Klowns from Outer Space because I don't see how this could be anything but an original work of art.
Killer Klowns is the superior of the two, and I don't need to see Clown House to know that to be true. So, that's that on that. They don't have the alliterative K Clown in
No,
Clown
they
House.
don't.
So
they didn't think that through.
Should we talk about Clownzilla?
Clownzilla.
Yeah, why not?
I love Clownzilla. I love that there's a boss level. I mean, it's just like a video game. It makes sense. There's got to be the big daddy. And I love the monster design for him. Like he's just T-Rex with a clown head. He looks like that one dinosaur that kind of looks like he has an egg on his head. This is from before we knew about the feathers. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? I'm going to look it up.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Dinosaur with
kind of looks like the
Cloverfield,
like Clover.
Oh, fuck that. Oh my God. All right, here we go. We're going to try. Pachycephalosaurus. That wasn't as hard. Pachy.
She's
I got
she's overthinking. She's overthinking it now.
Pachycephalosaurus. That's it.
Sure.
If you know about dinosaurs, you can nicely DM me and tell me in an audio message how you actually say it, but you have to be nice.
You have to be so nicey nice.
He looks just like that guy. He looks just like Pachycephalosaurus. But with a funnier little honky nose. Oh, the honky nose. The honky nose. I love that one. If you shoot the honky nose, glitter comes out. I love that. Two, I love that it blows them up. Yeah, and they said the Chiodo Brothers said that it was like a nod to zombie movies. Like if you shoot a zombie in the brains, then it's dead. So they're like, there has to be the kill, and it's got to be the big red nose. And then I thought that was beautiful. They really thought this shit out, man. It's beautiful.
They got into the
lore. Yeah.
They said, what is everything that you would want from a clown horror movie? Okay, we will deliver on literally every little thing that you would want or expect or hope for.
100%.
I
hate it when they half-ass the lore. This is, they thought through almost every single thing. The one thing I didn't get, I was like I obviously he had the idea about the car. And he's in the car in the forest and he looks over and the person driving next to him is a clown. And that's terrifying. But like, do clowns have a thing where their body turns into a car and there's headlights in their shoes and they hover above the ground? Or is that just a thing that these clowns have?
I think
I've
that's an
not
alien
seen that
thing.
in other clown lore, but I love that. And
It
there's also
feels
a really
kind of like mime adjacent almost, you know what I mean? Like driving without a real car, which
oh,
is in the clown family, I think. But actually, I hope I'm not offending any mimes or clowns by saying so, because that could be wrong.
And
Maybe
feeling
they're
we
that was
totally
like a
distinct.
absolutely don't want to offend any mimes and or
That would be
clowns.
my worst nightmare.
No.
Yeah, would hate for
Oh my
that to
God, no.
happen.
I love the mime community and the clown community. Oh my God. Apparently that stunt was like really intense to do that. They had to like put the killer clown costume. They are seated on a mechanical rig that was physically connected to the car, and the controller in the suit's wrist enabled the man to move the rig back and forth as needed to make it look like they're kind of racing each other. And then, in addition to the stuntman work, they also used stop motion animation to do that scene too. So there's a lot going on to create the vision. Looked great though. Hard work pays off, man.
Yeah. I mean, they did a lot of just kind of like figuring things out as they went. Also, I think like there was that scene where um a car almost sort of gently drives over a cliff. And then it's just upside down. Looked very survivable for the driver if there's airbags. But apparently
And then
that was
it's
supposed to be like,
slowed.
yeah, it was supposed to be a very different scene at first. It was supposed to really like fly off the cliff. Um, but they forgot to like take the brakes off from under the wheels or whatever, that they had in, I guess, for safety purposes. So it kind of just like tumbled. But then they were like, well, it's fine. What are you gonna do?
It's still gonna blow up.
It'll work for
That
us.
could happen. You never know. You hit it the wrong way, it blows up.
The fuel in there, something sparks.
Another through line to the last to Jeepers Creepers, a beautiful car getting fucked up.
R.I.P.
Sad.
Really hate to see it. So sad. But in this final segment here, I had gotten so attached to the OT3 that I was so upset that Dave was gonna fall on the sword to save the other two. I was like, wow, the most like profound display of his love for them both,
Mhm.
But also I'm like, don't be a fucking hero, Dave.
Don't be a
Please.
hero, but there were
Don't
so
be
many
a
clowns,
hero.
What are you gonna do? And
There were
then
a lot of clowns, and there was Clownzilla.
really big boy.
He's so large,
Apparently they were
Um,
gonna do stop motion for Clownzilla, but then I think they couldn't afford it. So that one of the Kyoto brothers actually is the one who
Charles,
plays Charles
the
Kyoto.
oldest.
I looked up how to say their name, by the way. It is Kyoto. I don't know if I said
great.
Coyote earlier, but whatever. Um, he's the one who plays Count Clownzilla, and part of how they filmed it was literally just like forced perspective. So presumably like him closer to the camera and a giant fake hand holding Dave. Um, but yeah, I mean, I love their designs. I love Clownzilla's design. I love that all of the clowns only have four fingers on every hand. I watched this movie with Danny, who was on our Nightmare on Elm Street 2 episode, and we debated like which fingers are going together, like in the big clown gloves. And we decided Barbie style, the middle, your ring finger and middle finger together, maybe like this.
It's
What do
too
you
bad
think?
that they can't flip you off. Disappointing because that would have been funny from a
They could
clown.
like this, maybe.
Yeah, they could just
Don't
do the
don't do
two.
that, Chelsea.
Stop it!
Chelsea can't win today.
I had to call it out. Whatever.
Can't help myself.
Why are you
You
guys
already
thinking about it
went.
so much?
I'm thinking about it 24/7, 365, maybe 364. There could be one day that I take off, but
She takes off. She has a little breaky break.
yeah, I need a one day of rest.
One day to cool down.
One day of rest. Oh man. Should we talk about the end now? I don't know. We're at 55.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't remember exactly how Mike and Debbie escape other than David's like, oh, hold him off, basically. I just remember that somehow the Terenzi brothers were there and got exploded.
Yeah, they like beat the shit out of their truck. They wouldn't get out of the truck because it was a rental. And then it got like thrown and then it exploded because in the world of Killer Klowns in outer space, cars explode immediately at all times.
Immediately upon impact. But that's okay.
Thank God it's a rental. We in the Thompson family have a thing where we're just like, hey, you could do whatever to it. It's a rental.
Oh my God.
You have to pay for rentals.
They had the opposite view.
It's a rental.
Maybe they got rental insurance. Or maybe they didn't. The Terenzi brothers didn't get rental insurance. That's the problem. They seem like guys who would skip on insurance.
Yeah.
But I mean, thank God they stayed in that ice cream truck, maybe, because that whole thing went splody or whatever happened to the big circus tent at the end. And they only survived that explosion because they said they hid in the freezer section with all of the popsicles. They hid in there with the ice cream. That's what saved them.
Shouts out to those girlies who were just riding around eating ice cream in the back of the truck. And they're like, how dare you think I was going to have sex with you? I just wanted to ride around in the back of the ice cream truck. I want to ride around.
I was just promised unlimited ice cream, not sucking your dick. Like, I thought
you were an honest man.
From me.
And then they're like, keep your shirts on, ladies. And they're like, we intend to.
Iconic.
They were great.
I was so glad that the Terenzi brothers didn't die. Like, nobody that I love died in this movie because the whole fucking spaceship explodes. And then we're like, lover boy, Dave, he's gone. He's dead. And then he's not because he goes in the clown car and the clown car falls from heaven like a beautiful gift from God. And inside is Dave. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was beautiful that he discovered that if you shoot the clowns in the nose, they explode into glitter and die. And I also thought that they got to a point, you know, where the gun ran out of ammo and he didn't have anything anymore. He didn't have his tools with him against this giant clownzilla, but he said, you know what? My badge has a sharp pokey bit on the other side of it, and I can just use this to pop the clown's big old nose, and that'll work. And it did. And it did.
Iconic. And then
what a wild way to die.
Convenient if you're Clownzilla.
Yeah.
Like one little tiny pinprick was enough. You know what I mean? That's a fragile nose.
It's the Achilles heel.
True.
Their one
Achilles nose.
Flaw. The Achilles nose. Oh man, and yeah, that last bit when they get splashed with pie juice at the end was the funny ending. I thought that was funny.
Apparently there was a deleted scene where the three of them were gonna just be like beating the shit out of a clown together. I'm not sure where in the sequence of the movie that would have gone. But I think you really can see it on the DVD extras possibly, because they did re-record with director, filmmaker commentary from the Chiodo Brothers in like 2001, which is also part of what like continued to spark its popularity. That was when the Chiodo Brothers said they like realized like, oh, like this is maybe a thing after all. Like this is getting momentum after all. And then they did a Universal Horror Nights maze in like 2018, and people fucking loved it.
I know. Oh, I wanted to go that year, but I missed it. But I hadn't seen the movie yet then, so it wouldn't have meant as much to me. But can you just imagine, like, because I've been there so many times, you know that like 90% of it is cotton candy bodies hanging from the ceiling, and you have to move your bodies through them, and then clowns come out at you. Like,
the dream. The dream.
But someone in one of these articles was like, yeah, I was very shocked to see that they had this clown maze there in 2018, and also that it was like just as popular as the Stranger Things maze, which was like a very new exciting property at the time.
It's a classic, and people are universally scared of clowns. So
they said it's crazy on the poster, and they were right.
Right.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, the craziest thing is that this movie never got a sequel, but they had an idea for one, and they were trying to make it happen for years. I guess it's not that crazy when you know that the studio fucked them so hard at the beginning.
Well, them GM had like bought that studio or owned that studio or whatever and had eventually greenlit a sequel, but then in the 20th Century Fox Disney merger, Disney killed it.
Oh, that's so not fair. Well, one of the ideas they had for it was pretty fucking fucked up. Like one of the ideas that they had was that it was going to be like years and years later, and Mike Tobacco is like the townie. I don't know what happened to the OT3, but Mike Tobacco is the only one they mentioned in this. And
Debbie
he was
eventually
like,
chose stability after all.
I guess he was the old
what a
townie,
line.
just like the guy at the beginning. Wait, what is that line before I
That's
tell
what
this?
Dave says at one point. He's like, I guess she what does he say? Chose
I
what
guess
over
she
stability?
chose laughs over stability.
Stability.
Because Mike
Porque
Tobacco's
no
a goofy
los
guy
jokes.
making lots of inappropriate jokes.
Which is honestly anybody that dates me.
Is a goofy guy making inappropriate jokes.
You know, I'm making all these jokes. I am not
Sure.
stable. I have
Sure.
I got all the funny mental health lulls, none of the stable mental health. It's fine.
Oh my God, I saw this thing this week.
Maybe you're the
and
Mike
it's
Tobacco.
a picture
I'm
of an
absolutely the
eel.
Mike Tobacco.
She's absolutely the Mike Tobacco. It's a picture of an eel, and it says mentally eel, and it really spoke to my soul. It was really something that I really liked. I'll send it to you.
Monica, that should
anyway,
be your first tattoo.
the mentally eel. I had a breakdown that day too, and so it was very appropriate to see.
Can we also talk about how there's an anglerfish in this movie?
We can, but I don't remember it, so you'll have to remind me.
Maybe this was when I was asleep.
It's near the end where after they rescue Debbie and they're like trying to figure out, and they like go in like the thing. There's an anglerfish who has like its mouth open, and they like run in through the mouth. It's like part of the spaceship.
And then they like run out the other side. Yeah.
There's so many through lines. We obviously knew about that. We knew about
our friend
that
Cooper can never watch this movie.
monster
It would be
design.
too scary for him.
It's
too scary.
It's good that Cooper does not have Instagram, because we just posted last 2 weeks ago of image of an anglerfish on Maine. He would have shit himself.
We'll just text it to him. It's fine. Thought of you, bestie.
Our poor friend Cooper, I might have said this before, like I found out he was scared of anglerfish, and I was like, haha, that's funny. It's probably not that serious. And then I pulled up a picture of an anglerfish on my phone, and I cornered him in a corner, and I showed it to him in his face, and he like freaked out. He was really mad.
Monica.
So don't do that. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I thought that it was a joke, but it's not a joke, and you should respect people when they tell you what their greatest fear is. Oopsies. We learned something that day.
It's called personal growth and development, and sometimes you have to make a mistake to become a better person.
We've all grown so much, and he still is my friend, shockingly. But anyway, okay, we started talking about this. This is one of the ideas for the sequel that never happened. The idea was that like Mike is like the old town. He's sort of like the old guy at the beginning
with Pooh the dog,
the movie with Pooh Bear the dog. And he's crazy.
Who's hornswoggled.
He's crazy and scare quotes. Huh?
We didn't even say his quotes. He said, "I'm hornswoggled and I'm greased and fried," or whatever, which I just
oh my God,
sexy.
I'll be hornswoggled. I thought that those were I loved his dialogue. Very creative.
He had beautiful things to say. Well, Mike Tobacco maybe would have had some fun little things to say, but they would have been all about clowns. He would be ranting and raving about these clowns, and no one in the town believed him because, as you might have noticed, I think everyone in the town dies.
Everyone
in this movie, everyone in the entire town dies except for these three people and the Terenzi brothers.
And just the state troopers who don't even really witness anything at the end. No. So they're not there to pass along the lore.
They just see the explosion. But yeah, so he's the lonely man talking about the clowns, and everyone's like, you're fucking dumb, until they return. And then they're like, oh shit, we should have listened to Tobacco. I think that's a good idea. They had discussed a possible wait, what? Okay. This is a quote. The Chiodos, we did say Chiodes because I'm used to saying Chiodes. The Chiodos have also discussed the possibility of a 4-part trilogy. 4-part trilogy. How does that work? Well, they released
a game. Maybe that's part of the trilogy unofficially, which is why it's a 4th part.
Oh, 4-part trilogy that be part sequel and part remake and produced for cable television. I'm
Oh,
down.
I see. So
The
3
world's
new
ready.
movies, but part of a larger because it's like the reboot and then the
Yeah,
sequel and then the trequel. Is
I
trequel a
get
word?
it. I get it. I take back what I was shading mental floss, but that's who wrote the article I'm reading from. Anyway, but I think that the world is ready for a Killer Clowns from Outer Space short television show or limited series. I think we're there. We have Chucky. Aren't we? Like, there's the Know What You Did Last Summer. There's some other one that's coming out this year. That seems cool. We're ready. We need more clowns. What the world needs now is
It's
clowns.
clowns.
Sweet
More
clowns.
clowns.
It paid off. See, I'm gonna
Clowns,
sing
killer
more and more every
clowns.
episode until I convince Claire.
But then
that
what will
I'm
my
the
role
singer of the
be? You'll
pod.
leave me with nothing.
You bring a lot to the table, Chelsea.
That's
Think
so
of all of the
true.
innuendos that you have
You're
said
so
today.
right.
Okay, it's time to go to our segments. So, starting out with something we've already discussed, how could this movie be gayer? We could have had a 3-person kiss, I think, with the OT3. They all smooch at the same time. They all go
Covered in
mwah.
pie.
Ooh, yeah, they get covered in pie in the end, and then that somehow makes them very lustful, and they just start all macking on each other. Great way to end the film, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's the perfect ending.
It's the
So
climax.
perfect film.
Yeah, it would have been perfect. I think it would have been tasteful, honestly. It's
It
like
really
the
is
same
the only thing that
idea.
makes sense. But I can imagine the studios were not accepting of it in the 80s, maybe. Maybe that's why we didn't get it.
I know. It's kind of like a empty ending because we don't have that. It's like the same thing that if you ever gone to a foam party at a frat house and it somehow weirdly makes everyone hornier being covered in foam, it's the same thing that this cream would have done. And so it just
Everybody
didn't make
does
sense that
get
they didn't
really
kiss.
horny covered in cream. I'm just
There's
saying.
something about it. People are the anonymousness of it.
Yes, anonymous
God, those things
cream.
were so fucking disgusting. Ugh,
Foam
God.
parties? Oh God. Oh, to be 19 again.
I know
Oh,
horror
to be
stories. This is a horror podcast, so I can say this horror story. Somebody went on a fake foam slip and slide at one of those parties, but it was stapled down with a staple gun and it ripped their shit apart.
No,
Oh,
you
God.
actually are
Don't
not
trust
allowed to
young
say
men
that.
to do anything.
I remember we would always go to Florida for like spring break. We'd go to like Destin and they would have like teen clubs and they would always
God.
do foam party nights for like teen clubs. So you'd be like a freshman in high school going with like, it was so wildly inappropriate for that age demographic. I had the
Terrifying. I'm
best
scared.
time.
Terrifying. Well, I mean, yeah, they could have kissed and it would have made a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
The remake would have the kiss. I think that's clear to everyone now. I think the Chiodo brothers would do that for us. They seem like cool guys.
Yeah, I think so. I think. But yeah, we've got our lovely, lovely throuple. As discussed, we have the punk boyfriends in the beginning. It is sad that they go, but again, everybody went except 4 people. 5 people. So, it's hard to escape those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, as discussed, also the clowns seems like even the girl clowns who did the smoochy smoochies to the Terenzi brothers, like I'm not convinced that those were a different gender of clown than all of the rest. I think maybe those clowns were just doing a little performance for the Terenzi brothers because they're all born performers.
That's the one thing
That
about the
actually
clowns.
was a
They're
gay
born for
makeout
the
scene.
stage.
Yeah.
I like
the
that
clown Terenzi brother romantic collab. It was queer.
Gay.
They were doing drag.
Oh, I love that.
That is so drag, actually. I'm now committed to that idea.
I think
That makes
you're
me
right.
like
I
this
think
movie
you're
even
100%
more.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. That's drag, baby. Any other gay things that you would like to say or things about the movie as well? Before we move on.
I don't know, but I feel like Mooney, the grumpy cop, is a queer icon.
No,
Yes.
But
I
he's
hate
terrible.
him.
Is it because
But-
he's repressed his sexuality and that's why he's so angry? Or
That's why I got so mad at the
no.
gay guys.
He's absolutely straight. I think he's just a queer icon.
do you think he's having a romance with the prescription guy? What's that called? I know I said it earlier, but the word
No,
escapes
I
me
think-
now. And that's why he was like, "Oh, my
straight.
boyfriend's
I
just
get
playing
it.
a little joke on me."
No, I think he's just
No.
straight. I think he is just a queer icon. I think all
Oh.
gay people look
Yeah.
to him and they're like, yes, queen, even though he is absolutely straight.
I love that for you and speak your truth, but he's not my queer icon. How about that? I
Well,
won't
you're
claim
wrong.
him. I won't
You're
claim hey,
wrong.
we can claim different people. You can have him. I will claim something else undetermined.
Nope, queer icon. That man is grumpy and like proud.
He has his own sense of pride. We love that for him. Okay, well that brings us to where would Matthew Lillard fit into this film? And I just think anywhere he damn well pleases. I would have loved to see him in this. He would have been
He's
right
a
the right
tall
age, wouldn't he?
guy. Yeah, he's a tall guy. He could have easily played some of these tall clowns.
He could have been at the makeout point.
I would have loved for him to be I don't remember
Joe
McReady
Lombardo?
or McReady, the guy who they were like, this is McReady's glasses.
Oh, in the car, the
Oh.
cotton candy exploded car.
Yeah.
That's a good
And
scene,
because
too.
because we see him, like he gets a lot of time in like the beginning. He's one of the main like guys the camera focuses on.
McCready was here. This is
Oh.
McCready's Jeep.
Yeah,
With the beers. Is he the guy with the beers at the beginning?
I think so.
And then they rip open the first cocoon and they see his little face. That would have been perfect.
No,
It's Matthew Lillard.
The cocoons in the first cocoon scene was the old guy and Joe Lombardo, who apparently had a scene that was going to
Oh.
introduce him, and then it got cut. So he's just
Okay,
Joe
okay.
Lombardo,
I got confused.
and they just go Joe Lombardo, and really establish him as the firsty lasty. McCready is when they like go into the car. Dave is like examining the car at top of the world, and Mike is still handcuffed in the back seat. And after Dave discovers McCready's body and his glasses and finds him in the cotton candy, that's when he's like, okay, I believe that something is happening and I'm unhandcuffing you and we're going to team up and be boyfriends now. So having
okay,
Matty
either
Lily
one
in
of
that
them, it's going to be
iconic
Matthew.
scene.
That'd be perfect. It'd be perfect.
He could also be one of the bikers. I'd love to see him in a biker outfit.
Ooh, yeah, he could get his head punched off.
Or just
He
be
could
like
bring
one of the
that rage.
hustlers in the crowd.
Yeah, he could bring the unbridled rage that random man brought where he destroys that bike. I feel like Maddie has that. He could bring that. A lot of options for him. I feel like he would have had a really good time in this, and he could definitely be in the remake. So put him in, coach. Come on, Chiodos. Okay, that brings us to the dumb bitch of the movie. And I'm sorry, Sydney, it's your fucking queer icon.
Queer icons are allowed
Sergeant
to be dumb
Mooney.
bitches. Okay.
Yeah, how dare you, Monica? Anybody can be a dumb bitch. Think bigger.
Yeah,
I know. What? I didn't say anything to the contrary of that.
That's
It's
a
true.
bimbo, okay?
He's
right
a dumb
there.
bitch. We're on the same page.
I've just been feeling a little embarrassed this episode, and now I'm lashing out.
You gotta lash out at me. I get it. I can take it. Bring it on, baby.
Chelsea's like, I'm
my
too scared to say anything to Sydney
Sydney's
right now.
making fun
because
of me
she
too much. I have to hide from her, but you are safe to express my embarrassment, my shame.
All right.
Too.
I get it now. But yeah, I mean it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
The clowns are smart bitches, and our OT3 can do no wrong. So there's only one other guy.
The clowns literally learn English over the course of the film, so
they're very smart. They're the superior species of.
they've got all kinds of
alien
technology
thing.
we don't have, you know.
Yeah, we don't have that popcorn baby thing.
So scary. They just
Disgusting.
launch their babies at people.
When they just started like undulating on her bathroom floor.
When they that
disgusting.
first like
Ugh.
pulsing moment,
Oh.
very scary. I loved it. Not
I don't
scary,
like.
but like incredible.
Okay, I'm gonna here. How about this, Sydney? Get ready. They were the popcorn was on the ground, throbbing.
Ooh.
Good one.
Yeah.
Good one.
Undulating was pretty good too.
Thank you. I feel like that's more like a squid, but throbbing.
Once they're in
We all
tadpole, they're
know.
undulating. Yeah, but as the popcorn, they're throbbing,
Mm-hmm.
pulsating.
Pulsating.
Well, I mean, when we start out the episode talking about makeout points, it doesn't surprise
sets
me
the
that
scene.
we've gotten
Sure,
to
sure.
where we've gotten now.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's time for our knives out of 5. So, what was the critical reception of this film?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about a little of this earlier. It did get pulled from some theaters really fast. Like it got pulled from theaters before I think it was like an LA Times review even came out about it, but it was a positive review. Like reviewers liked it. They thought it was really interesting. They thought they did some really innovative stuff with their art on it. They thought there were some really clever ideas here. It did like it was well received by the people who were able to receive it. But on IMDb, it has a 6.2 out of 10. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 76% fresh from critics and 60% fresh from audiences. So, like, does everybody think it's like amazing? Not necessarily, but everybody seems to love it. And it's got like a huge, so many people are like all about it. People dress up at cons. Once the Chiodo Brothers started going to like conventions, they said they really started to realize like how wide their audience had become, and how beloved their film had become. So, I mean, people love it these days. Do they think it's amazing? Yes, but not necessarily in a knives out of fives kind of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally, totally. So I am a sleepy bitch, I will say that. And so it can't all be on the film, but also I think that it does feel like a long hour and 28 minutes at times. But that said, I wouldn't change a damn thing about it. Who am I to step on the Chiodo Brothers swag? But it's not like my favorite movie I've ever seen, but I will certainly watch it again and again, and I'm obsessed with it, and I'm so glad that it exists, and I will do my darndest to get to Horror Nights if they do the clown maze again. So I'm gonna give this 4 out of 5 knives.
Ooh.
I know I'm using restraint for the first time all year.
I will give this a 4.5 out of 5 because I had a fucking blast. This movie was so funny. I watched it twice. It was better on like the second go around. I'm honestly kind of mad at myself for never watching this earlier. And also, like, how dare my parents not make me watch this? Quite frankly,
That's
like,
a
this
big issue
seems
here.
like a family fun movie that like you would watch and like wholesomely bond with your children.
It is almost kind of a family fun movie. Like somebody on IMDb trivia pointed out how actually very PG-13 appropriate it is. Like there's a million kills, but there's not really any gore. There's not really any bad language. Like it is actually a very friendly little spooky film. And that one kid who's about to get lured away from that restaurant doesn't even get lured away. It's fine.
Oh yeah.
So, you know.
So
that scene had such great tension too.
Ooh, that was really good. That was one of the spookiest scenes for sure.
But yeah, I mean, I also think it is wonderful. I think I am so blown away by the animatronics that they used, and what they were able to do with like a relatively very tiny budget, and what they could put together. A lot of it was just like friends and people they knew and local extras chipping in, basically. It is a little slow. I also got a little sleepy last night, and so I was glad I didn't have a movie viewing supplement. But I would love to have a movie viewing supplement and watch this again some other time because I think it would be a blast. You just have to be well rested again, which is the best way to watch a movie anyway, maybe.
Yep. It sounds like it's a me problem. I just need to sleep more.
Yeah. It's like it's not them, it's us. You know what I mean? But I'm so impressed by what it is. I don't think, like, could the script have been judged or the acting different? You know what I mean? Sure, but that would be a different film. And these are the right vibes for exactly what Killer Clowns from Outer Space is. I think they nailed that. So I'm
Totally.
also gonna give it, I think, 4.5 knives out of fives because I thought it was wonderful.
Beautiful. I'm really glad we did this movie. It also was very, very it felt like written in the stars because I had just said out loud in a meeting, because this is the type of meetings that I have at my job. I had just said, "Have you seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space to all of my coworkers?" And not 4 minutes later, Chelsea said, "Maybe we should do Killer Clowns from Outer Space." So 'twas written in the stars through time.
Gorgeous.
I'm glad we did it. But next week, we are doing something very, very classic. Something that many people who are Gen X have told me is their like magnum opus scary movie that made them shit their pants as a child. Not literally, it's a figure of speech. But we're going
Everybody
back.
literally shit their pants.
Everybody
They
pooped.
literally shit. Watch out. Wear a diaper when you watch this movie, because next week we're doing 1973's The Exorcist. And
Dun, dun, dun.
I know. I've never seen it. Have y'all seen it?
I don't think so. I think I've seen like clips of it, but not the whole thing.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie in like college, so it's not a rewatch for me, but I have seen it. And I also have seen where Scary Movie did their little like spoof.
I saw our friend Rebecca wear her Reagan costume on Halloween one year, and that was very scary.
Yes, I agree. I also saw that, and that's my biggest
covered in
like
vomit
Exorcist
all day
thing
long
that
in
I
like
know.
9th grade. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I need to like set my expectations like really low, because everyone was like, "This is the scariest thing I ever seen," but they saw it like
long time ago.
If not in the 70s, in the 80s or something like that. So like the expectations need to be brought down a little bit. But I'm excited to see like one of the classics. And also, we are going to be we're completing the puzzle. You know, do you feel empty? Do you feel like something's not right after our Cloverfield episode because we just had Lauren from Keep It Weird and we didn't have the pair? Well, we're completing the puzzle. We're having Ashley on next week from Keep It Weird. We're really excited. She is an Exorcist aficionado, specifically on Exorcist 3, but we're like, we're not going to do Exorcist 3 before Exorcist 1 because it's such a classic. So she graciously agreed to be on with the OG, and then maybe next year she'll come back for Exorcist 3 too, because apparently it's really good. But yeah, it's gonna be a really fun episode, and we're excited to have another guest. So you know, we've been killing it week after week. Aren't you having a great time? Don't you want to tell us how funny we are? Don't you want to write out, Chelsea, it's okay that you say innuendos and we love you? Don't you want to say that? You can type that out in a 5-star review for us on Apple Podcasts. You can also review us on Podchaser. I always forget about that. And you can give us just a non-verbal 5-star review on Spotify if you're too nervous to say something. And that's the perfect option. Also, follow us on social media. We are at spooky_Tuesday on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We're also Spooky Tuesday Pod on Tumblr and Facebook, and at Spooky Tuesday on Letterboxd. And so I'm trying to make this a thing. See you next Tuesday.
You still have to say thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. How about that? If I just say see you next Tuesday, it's mean. See you next Tuesday. Thank you for listening. Or thank you for listening. See you next Tuesday. That's the order.
Bye, spooky.
Bye.
What are you going to do with those pies, boys?
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamra, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at _the_moon_omg.